Well, I was hoping to fire up the barbecue today and grill some meats, but alas, the gods have conspired against me. So instead, we'll weigh out 500 grams of all-purpose flour, throw in a teaspoon of salt, just give that a quick mix, 1 sachet of instant yeast, 250 milliliters of warm water, and 50 milliliters of olive oil. So with the dough hook, we're going to knead that for about 10 minutes until you have a soft, supple dough. So yeah, clean it off the hook. Just take that out of the bowl there. Give it a bit of a squeeze just to make sure you've got the right consistency, and then shape it roughly into a ball. I'm going to put that back in the bowl, drizzle a little more olive oil on the top, just massage the surface, cover it with a towel, and let that sit to rise for about an hour. In the meantime, more olive oil in a bowl. We've got 2 cloves of garlic. We're just going to roughly chop those. So what we're doing now is we're making a marinade for our meat. And the reason we're chopping these kind of roughly is because we'll want to brush this off the meat again before cooking. And we're just going to grate a little bit of lemon zest as well for this. Not too much. And again, coarsely if possible, because you want to brush this off as well before cooking your meat. So, into the bowl it goes. We'll give it a quick little stir. Now what I've got here is 2 lamb shoulder steaks, which I got from Rathkennery Farm. I can't believe I've been mispronouncing that name all along, but anyway, I've got it right now, I think. So yeah, we're just going to drizzle a little marinade over that. And just rub it right into the meat, getting into all the nooks and crannies. And you can see the wonderful marbling on that meat as well. Oh, I can't wait. Anyway, we'll cover that, set it in the fridge there for a couple of hours. In the meantime, we're going to make our chimichurri sauce. So again, 2 cloves of garlic. This time we're going to really finely chop those. We're going to take 1 small red chili, cut off the stalk. Now you can split this lengthways and you can remove the seeds if you want, but I like the heat. So again, I'm just going to kind of roughly chop this. And that goes into the bowl as well. Now, bunch of parsley. Gonna chop that. I like to incorporate some of the stalks when I'm chopping parsley as well, just for the texture. Yeah, you can just chop that. Into the bowl it goes. We're going to chop about a tablespoon of fresh oregano leaves. They go into the bowl. And now we're going to pour a couple of tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil on top of that. A little red wine vinegar. Some fine table salt and some coarse sea salt. And now a couple of twists of the peppermill. We'll give that a stir to combine. I found this a little bit dry, so I just added a little more extra virgin olive oil. And once you're happy with the consistency, we're just going to pop that into the fridge and let the flavours infuse for a while. Now I've taken some tender stem broccoli. I'm just cutting off the kind of woody bits at the end, and we're going to steam those for about 3 minutes. So not to cook them all the way through, but to kind of activate the chlorophyll. Once they're steamed, we're just going to dunk them into ice water to stop the cooking process. Let them sit for a couple of minutes, and then once they're cold, we're going to drain them off. Now what I like to do as well is I like to arrange the florets with the heads kind of facing down so that the water drains off properly. Like so. I'm going to take an aubergine or an eggplant, cut a few slices from that. I think I did 5 here. going to take a bell pepper, split that in half. This time we will remove the seeds. And we're going to get rid of that little white rib there as well. And then we're just going to coarsely chop this into strips, like so. We take these over to a hot, dry pan. No oil, no butter, nothing. And we're just going to add a little bit of colour to the aubergine. And then while the pan is still hot, we're just going to blister the skin on the peppers. And we'll get back to those later on. We can season with a little bit of salt and pepper and a little bit of olive oil as well. And I've just put a wedge of lemon there for the cooking later on, but you'll see that in action in a moment. Now, in that time, our dough should have risen, so onto a floured surface, we're just going to tip our dough. We're going to form that roughly into a ball. Dust it with flour, and now we're going to cut that into roughly 6 equal pieces. I'm just going to cover those with a cloth to prevent them from drying out. And then we grab each of these triangles, form them into a little ball. And we're going to roll these out into Pitta breads. So what we're looking for here now is kind of oblong oval shape. You don't want to press down too hard on the dough either, because you want to try and keep some of the air in there. So yeah, about twice the size of your hand should do the trick. And we'll cook these off in a hot, dry pan. And you'll see it there starting to blister a little bit. So check the underside. And if it's nicely browned like that, you can flip it over. Give it a moment or two. And now watch the magic happen. That's incredible. So yeah, just keep an eye on the heat. Regulate that as well so that you don't burn them. So yeah, if all goes well, you'll end up with 6 beautiful Pitta breads. Ah, don't you just hate it when that happens? Okay, so I forgot to press record, but what I've done now is I've brushed the lemon rind and the garlic off the lamb steaks and thrown them into the pan. Now there's no real need to add any oil to your pan because there should still be some olive oil on your steaks from the marinade. We're going to sear them for about 3 or 4 minutes depending on thickness on both sides. And then what I like to do is I like to flip them up onto the fat side as well and let that render down a little bit. So you can just kind of stand them up at the edge of the pan. And then we'll flip them over, we'll do the underside, and actually we'll seal all sides on them. Like so. Now check for doneness, and when you're happy with them, one last flip over and throw them onto a plate and cover that with another plate and let them rest for about 5 or 10 minutes. Now, while the pan is still hot, add in your broccoli. They're probably still going to be wet enough to add enough moisture to the pan to kind of deglaze it for you. Just season them with some salt and squeeze a little bit of lemon juice on them. It's a magic combination. So give them a bit of a shake around and they'll pick up all that lovely residue at the bottom of the pan. And when you're happy enough, you can remove those. Return the pan to the heat, add a little bit of oil, and now you're going to add your aubergines and your peppers. And again, we're going to give a little squeeze of lemon juice, some seasoning, and you can actually turn off the heat at this point. The pan should be warm enough to heat your veggies through. Now that our meat has rested, we're going to take one of these steaks and we're going to start taking the meat off the bones. Look at that, beautiful. So yeah, just navigate your way around the bones with your knife and remove as much of that delicious meat as you can. You don't have to be too precise either. Whatever's left on the bone is really good for gnawing. So yeah, we're going to take these little cuts of meat and we're going to start cutting little strips against the grain. Like so. Making sure to test one. Now, lightly season those with salt, and then we're going to sprinkle some chimichurri over them. Very nice. Okay, now it's time to grab one of our pita breads, cut open the pocket. We'll start by adding a little bit of baby spinach in there, and some of our vegetables. So a couple of pieces of aubergine, some peppers. Put that fork down, will you? Yeah, some peppers, bit of chimichurri, and now some of that delicious meat. Very nice. And now we're just going to add another little bit of chimichurri. I just love this stuff. And there you have it. Of course, you don't have to make pita breads. You can just eat the lamb steaks the way they are. But I think it's nice to know how to make the pittas.